All right, our goal is to apply f of g of x notation. When I was in school, we used to call it the fog notation. We hardly ever use that little open circle anymore. Most of the time you will see f of g of x, said f of g of x. The only way to do composite function is just to dig in and start practicing and trying to use them and do them. I don't know, it's a foreign thing to kids. I'm not sure exactly why. Has anybody ever gone shopping with a parent and gone to the produce department? Produce, fruits, vegetables. What do you do with the fruits or vegetables when you're in the produce department? Say you buy 3 apples. What do you do with them? Put them in those little bags and weigh them, right? So you kind of have some idea. And then when you get up to the checkout counter, what do they do with the apples that are in the bag? Yeah, and then what do they do with the whole bag of, say, apples? Yep, and then what do they do with it? They put it in another bag. That's what composition functions are like. Have you ever been to the meat department and the outside of the package is all slimy? What do you do with that package of meat? Some people wipe it off. Most people put it in a bag. Okay, so you take the meat that's already packaged, you put it in a bag. And then what do they do when they get to the checkout? They scan it, weigh it, whatever they do. And then what do they do last? Put it in another bag. That's what a composition function is like. How many of you have ever bought candy out of a gumball machine? You have? One honest person? No, several of you said you have. Well, when you put that money into the little gumball machine, what happens? You have to do something to it, right? What is the something you have to do to it? Usually it's turn a knob. And then what happens? That's what we're going to do today. We're going to put in some money, we're going to turn the knob, and we're going to see what comes out. It's a machine type mentality. So, I say all that to do this problem. If f of x equals 2x minus 7 and g of x equals x squared plus 4, find g of f of 3. Now, remember that the original notation was g of f of x. What's the only change between the blue line and the black line there? So what did 3 go in for? He subbed in the game for x. So x is on the bench now, right? Always go to the most inside parentheses. What's in the most inside parentheses? 3. That's where you start. You're going to drop your 3 in your gumball machine, but there's all kinds of gumball machines. There's one with sweet tarts in them, bubble gum, jawbreakers. What else? Those little things that have those yummy bananas in them. What are those things called? Runs. There's all these to pick from. So we're going to pick the f of x gumball machine. So go up to the top and see, what does the f of x gumball machine kick out? Perfect. But now x is not x. What is x? So what's going to drop out of the f of x gumball machine? It's minus 7. Oh, sorry guys, Hannah says it's minus 7. You get a point for that. What's going to jump out of it? Dump out of it? Negative 1. It's kind of stinky if you expected candy, wasn't it? All right, now you're going to go around to the other side of the gumball machines, and now you're going to put your negative 1 in which gumball machine? And do you notice we're working from the inside out? 3 went to F, then went to G last because it was most outside. So the G of X gumball machine spits out what, Dylan? Hold on. Tell me the function.
X squared plus 4.
Good, but our new X is... Now that's not what we started with. We originally started with putting 3 in the gumball machine. But after we did this, it spit out a negative 1, and we have to use that in the next gumball machine. Remember to put parentheses because X is going to the bench and negative 1's coming in. So what did that gumball machine spit out for the final answer, Kaylin? 5. Is she right? Now that's all fine and good if it's numbers, but guess what? Doesn't stay like this. Like, I think it's cake when you first see it, because it's like, oh yeah, I just put that in the gumball machine, something spits out, I use whatever spits out in the next gumball machine, I'm good. But what happens is then you have to do without a number. You have to put a function in the gumball machine, it spits out another function which goes in another gumball machine, and I've seen them as lovely as h of g of f of x. How many gumball machines is that? 3. Like, you'd have to move around the kiosk and do 3 of them. All right, I want to try one more number one. This time, let's do g of f of x, and let's let x be 2. Let's let f of x be x plus 7, and let's let g of x be just x squared. All right, so those are our functions. When you make your function machine, what is going to drop into the machine first? Just 2 first. Just write your 2 first. And it's going to go into what first? F or G? Work from the inside out. Okay? So we're going to F first. So f of x was equal to x plus 7, but now it's 2 plus 7. So what's coming out of that machine? Yeah, just a 9. And then what machine am I going to drop that into? Right, because we've already done what we have to do in the inside, and you go to the most outside one last. So g of x was x squared, but what's our new value going into the next machine? Good. So what's it spit out? We're squaring it, not square rooting it. Theoretically it could be, but it didn't spit out a -9, so we're not using -9, just 9. All right. This is our next practice. Or you can take a picture of it, either one. Somebody try to take a picture of that and see how that works. You have 3 functions this time. Why? Why do we have 3 functions this time? Look over here. This guy does h of x, so he's using h and f. But what is this guy doing? H and g. Go ahead, Hannah. Do we have to use the boxes? Not if you get them right. What if you miss them? I guess. What's wrong with 6? Why is 6 weird? It's both G. So you start out using G with 2, and then what do you dump it into? The same machine, the same gumball machine. So it's like getting fruit in a bag and then going back to the produce department and putting it in another of the same bag. Okay? Did it work, taking a picture of the big picture? It worked? It's not too like bright or anything like that? Okay. All right. Anybody who doesn't want to take a picture, write the F and G and H down, and then write down your 6 problems. That's what we're going to do for the next 12 minutes, and then we're going to clean up. This is classwork that's homework if you don't finish. Somewhere I need to know that you put f of x in right, but if you put g of 1 in and show your work, then you're automatically going to have to write f next. So no, you don't have to write it again. Just in the problem, you're going to use f of x. And that way I can see that you used it right. Well, these are numbers still. Tomorrow we're going to do the functions. But if you can't do the numbers, you can't do the function kind of a thing. So we're going to start with these.